The soft thud of footsteps echoed in the hallway before the bedroom door burst open with a little dramatic flair. One called out, sing-songing his name like a Disney princess on caffeine. Tim didn't even flinch, reclined against the headboard in his charcoal grey tee and plaid pajamas, one hand behind his head and other scrolling mindlessly through his phone. He didn't spare her a glance. "What?" he asked blandly, barely moving his lips. Wine gasped, offended at the lack of attention. With exaggerated drama, she stormed toward the bed in her oversized tee and fluffy socks, clutching a pink box to her chest like it was sacred treasure. "You're not even looking at me," she said in a fake, wounded voice. "Still answering though, aren't I?" he quipped without missing a beat. She plopped down beside him with an affectionate grunt, jostling him slightly. "I need your help," she declared, her voice unnaturally sweet, too sweet. It had warning signs all over it. That tone alone made Tim pause mid-scroll, lowering his phone an inch. "No," he said flatly, already knowing she was about to ask for something absurd. Wine pouted and it was deadly. Her lips were a deep, dramatic red, glossy, bold and heart attack-inducing. She uncaped another lipstick from her box with a gleam in her eye, already poised like a lipstick samurai. "Be my testing board," she said, holding up the deep red bullet like a weapon of seduction. His eyes widened in disbelief. "Absolutely not," he said immediately, sitting up straighter. She slumped forward, lowering the lipstick and box dramatically. "Okay, fine," she whispered in tragic resignation. "I'll just use my own neck." Tim blinked. "Wait, what? How? I mean, what does that even..." Before he could finish, her hand gently grabbed his collar and her lips pressed softly against the curve of his neck. Once, twice, thrice. Bold, perfectly shaped kisses appeared in a neat diagonal along his pale skin, like petals of mischief. The red stood out starkly against his skin. Her lipstick mark was a declaration of war and love. Tim stiffened, fingers tightening around his phone. "What are you doing?" he grumbled, but it wasn't real annoyance. He just sounded flustered, confused, like someone trying to keep their dignity while getting steamrolled by a literal ray of sunshine. She leaned back, inspecting her masterpiece with an innocent grin, testing shades. "This one's called 𝐘𝐿. Fitting, right?" His jaw clenched, his ears turned a suspicious shade of pink. "Why are you like this?" One fluttered her lashes. "Charming, insufferable." That too, she winked and leaned closer, whispering near his jaw. "But mostly charming." Tim glared half-heartedly. "How do I get this off? My assistant's coming in like 5 minutes and I have office tomorrow. You want the boat to think I got mauled by a lipstick monster?" She reached into her box, then halted, her expression far too gleeful. "Did I forget to mention?" she said innocently. "This is waterproof." His mouth dropped open. "What?" "Yep." She popped the pea. "Won't budge for 24 hours unless I use the remover. Very effective, award-winning formula, they said." Tim let out a sound between a whimper and a growl. "Wine. Wear a turtleneck," she chirped, already placing the lipstick box neatly on her side table. "I don't wear turtlenecks in July," he barked, trying to scowl. But then her finger gently traced the mark on his neck and his pulse betrayed him, hammering where her lips had been. She tilted her head, her eyes softening. "You're blushing," she whispered close enough for him to feel her breath. "I'm not." He shot back quickly, his voice lower now, shaky around the edges. "You are." She smiled, tapping his cheek with her finger. "Here and here." She pointed at his neck. "I leave a little art and your body turns into fireworks. You're insane." "I'm artistic," she corrected proudly. He grabbed a pillow and threatened to throw it at her, but she was already scrambling off the bed like a giggling pixie. Just then the doorbell rang. "I think your secretary's here," she called out, skipping toward the door. "I'll go greet him, you go." "I don't know," trying to hide the evidence. "Evidence," he grunted. "Of love bites." She grinned quickly, disappearing from the room. Tim groaned into the pillow. Then he stood, dragging his hand down his face, about to march toward the changing room until he caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror. His eyes narrowed. 3 kiss marks, bold, vivid, intimate, like a signature of affection she wanted the world to know was hers. He stepped closer, brushing his fingers slightly across one of the prints, and then he wiped it. A slow exhale escaped him. The hint of a smile tugged at the corner of his lips. He turned and walked into the changing room. Time skip. The grandfather clock ticked softly in the room, its hands nearing 11:30 p.m. One sat at the edge of the bed, dressed down in one of Tim's oversized black sweatshirts, his scent wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Her hair was loosely tied up, a soft pink lip balm still clinging to her lips. She had returned from the stuffy dinner with her mother-in-law's friends nearly an hour ago, exhausted and irritated from hours of forced smiles and shallow conversations. She glanced at the wall clock again. He should have been home by now. With a soft sigh, she reached over and picked up her phone to dial his number when the bedroom door burst open, crashing into the wall like thunder. One nearly jumped, but her eyes immediately softened when she saw him. He stood there, swaying slightly, hair toasted, lips parted. His eyes were heavy-lidded, unfocused, the collar of his dress shirt loosened and his blazer dangling from his hand like it had lost the will to live. "Hey," she whispered, rushing toward him. "God, not again." He grinned, goofy and lazy. "Baby," he slurred with a slow blink. "Your face is like marshmallow." His voice dragged like a Vanilla record slowing down. Wine beat back her laugh, slipping his coat from his limp fingers and tossing it toward the armchair. Why did you drink so much? You know your alcohol tolerance is garbage. I only had a bit, he mumbled, making a small space between his thumb and forefinger. Maybe 3 or 5. That's not a bit, Thiem, she said, guiding his arm around her shoulder and helping him walk toward the bed, his legs heavy like bricks. You're heavier than my regrets. Hey, he whispered near her ear, suddenly grinning. You smell like peach jam. Are you my dessert? She burst out laughing. God, you're unbelievable. I'm romantic, he argued, then tripped over his own feet and fell face first into the bed. It took her a full minute of huffing and puffing to roll him onto his back and straighten him out. You're lucky I work out, she muttered, brushing his hair from his forehead. Are you checking me out? He asked, eyes barely open but mischievous glint still alive. Yes, she said flatly, and I'm this close to checking you into rehab. He chuckled, eyes slipping shut. Wine got up and headed to the kitchen, quickly returning with a tall glass of lemonade. Thiem, she whispered, kneeling beside the bed and shaking his shoulders gently. He hummed low in his throat, head lolling to the side. Sit up, come on, drink this. No, he whined like a toddler. Don't wanna, tastes like regret. It's lemonade, not regret. Sit up or I'll make you chug bitter good juice next time. His eyes fluttered open. You're scary when you're bossy, he pouted. And you're cute when you listen. She replied sweetly, helping him sit up and bringing the glass to his lips. He drank, clenching his nose between gulps. Tastes like soap that went to college. Wine laughed, steadying the glass. Soap that? Thiem, what does that even mean? He looked at her with complete seriousness. It means this drink has personality, but I still hate it. When the glass was empty, she wiped his mouth with the edge of her sleeve, chuckling when he tried to nibble her fingers. Stop it, you're drunk. Exactly, I'm charming, he said proudly. Drunk, heavy, clingy, and annoying. But handsome, unfortunately. He grinned and floated back onto the bed with a satisfied sigh. She laid him gently and sat at the edge, removing his watch and emptying his pockets. Wallet, keys, a crumpled sticky note with a doodle of what looked like a cat wearing sunglasses. She raised an eyebrow. You're so weird. I made that cat for you. He mumbled into the pillow. Her heart melted. She placed everything neatly on the dresser, then picked up his coat and hung it in the wardrobe before returning to the bed. His shoes were barely hanging on one foot bent at an awkward angle. She reached down to remove them, her fingers gently grasping his ankle. But suddenly he jerked his foot away. Don't touch my feet, he said in a muffled voice. She blinked. Why? That's not right. You're my queen, he murmured, voice all soft and warm. Queens don't touch feet. One smiled softly, heart flipping. Well, this queen's taking off your shoes so you don't sleep like a tragic clown. Despite his protest, she tugged off his shoes and socks gently, then brushed her hand over his foot one last time. There, she whispered, my king is comfortable. She climbed into the bed beside him, lying on her side as she reached for the blanket. A pair of arms suddenly wrapped tightly around her waist. Wow. Thiem pulled her into his chest, burying his face in her hair, his breath hot and shaky against her ear. You came back early, he murmured. Not really, you're just late. I missed you. Her fingers curled against his chest. You saw me this morning. Still, I missed you. I always do when you're not with me, he whispered, pressing a soft kiss to her temple. Mine's heart melted completely. He tilted her face gently against her cheek, then forehead, then the corner of her mouth. You're too good. He mumbled, lips brushing her skin. So good to me. How did I get lucky? You drank 5 shots of wine and probably danced to jazz in front of your employees, she teased. Jazz is sexy, he insisted, brushing her nose with his, but not as sexy as my wife. Wine giggled. You're so cheesy right now. I'm always cheesy, you just notice it more when I'm drunk. He cupped her cheek, looking at her like she was a painting. You're perfect. She stared back quietly, wondering how would he react if he were sober. If he had remembered this tomorrow, but for now she just smiled. Close your eyes, Thiem, she whispered, rubbing his hair lovingly. He let out a soft breath as she kissed his forehead, then closed her own eyes. Thiem tightened his hold around her waist, pressing one final kiss into her neck. He sighed in sleepy bliss. I love you. And for once there was no grumpiness in his voice, only love, raw, unfiltered, and completely drunk on her presence. Time skip. Thiem's jaw flexed for the umpteenth time as he stared at the glowing screen in front of him, the cursor blinking mockingly at the half-finished paragraph of his proposal. Emails piled up, files needed revision. His neck ached. He tugged slightly at the collar of his crisp white shirt. Sleeves rolled up to his elbows as his fingers flew across the keyboard. Even with his laser focus, he noticed it the moment he came home. Wine had been off. Not just tired, not quite, but irritated, snapping at the doorman when he greeted her, tossing her tote on the hallway table with more force than necessary, and muttering complaints under her breath. Still, he didn't ask, not yet. He needed to submit these reports tonight to his assistant. But God, she hadn't even teased him about the drunk confession today. That alone was suspicious. Normally, she would hop into his lap and whisper dramatically, do you love me more when you're drunk or when you're just emotionally available for 5 seconds a month? And he would groan, roll his eyes, pretend to be annoyed, but secretly he would melt. Now she was quiet, too quiet. Until annoying clients, she grumbled, entering the room like a storm cloud in leggings and MSC bun, a tray of lipstick boxes in hand. Apparently they want 100 sets by tomorrow. Who even is this fast and efficient in life? Drug dealers. Thiem glanced up briefly, blinking. She flopped down beside him on the couch, setting her boxes on the coffee table and dramatically uncapping lipsticks like they were grenades. He let her be, he always did, even when she was like this, particularly when she was like this. They sat in silence, both busy, her swatching and labeling, him tapping and calculating until several lipsticks rolled straight onto his files, leaving faint red smudges on one of the print charts. His body stiffened, his hand reached forward, quickly lifting the tubes and inspecting the page. Wine, he said, voice soft. This is the final draft, please be more careful. She sighed sharply. It's not like I did it on purpose, Theon. I know, but these are important. You weren't paying attention. Well, maybe I wouldn't be so distracted if someone asked what was wrong instead of playing silent genius in the corner. She snapped without looking at him. Theon turned slowly to her. Excuse me, you have been ignoring me since you came home. She mumbled, arms crossed, as if I'm some background character in your serious CEO documentary. You are the one ignoring me. I tried to talk to you earlier, but you just snapped at me. So I was giving you space. He said calmly, though his voice had cooled. You have been annoyed since I walked in. I figured you would talk when you were ready. Wow, that's convenient, she scoffed. You get peace and I get to sit here stewing. Brilliant husband strategy. Theon clenched his jaw, trying to keep the growing frustration at bay. Why stop turning this into something it's not? Oh right, I forgot. You're always right. I'm just being dramatic. She snapped, her voice rising. No, but, he said, icily standing from the couch. It was one accident and you're throwing attitude for no reason. I'm throwing attitude? I'm just tired, frustrated. Can you stop with your grumpiness? His hands dropped to his side. So this is about that again. No, she said, voice wavering. It's about how I feel invisible next to your job. When we both work. You know, I don't make you feel that way, but today you're choosing to feel that way. Her breath hissed and he regretted it the second he said it. Right, she said, quietly standing up and brushing past him. It's my fault. Always is. I'm just bad at everything. Can't do my job, can't keep a lipstick from rolling. Can't even get my husband's attention unless he's wasted. He reached out instantly, grabbing her wrist. Wine, I didn't mean that. Don't twist it. Hey, look at me. She yanked her hand away, blinking fast as her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Let me go, Theon. I'm not twisting anything. I'm done arguing. He moved a step in front of her, voice dropping. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But she threw her arms up and groaned dramatically through her sniffles. I swear I'm going to block every client on my list and set the fire to the lipstick lab. Who even needs matte velvet peach in bulk? I'll show it up there. She stormed toward the door like a tantrum-filled thunderstorm, muttering curses and death threats to email clients with demanding attitudes. Then stood there, exhaling deeply, raking his fingers through his hair in frustration, guilt swirling in his gut like cement. He leaned on the door frame, calling after her quietly. Why, you're not invisible. You never lied to me. She didn't respond. He sighed. At night. The night had deepened into stillness. The house was silent, save for the occasional distant bark of a dog or the rustle of leaves outside the windows. But Theon sat upright in the bed, wide awake, eyes open like they hadn't even blinked once in the past hour. Wine's absence clouded his chest. He had knocked on the guest room door for over half an hour earlier, soft at first, then desperate, until his knuckles were sore and his throat was dry, but she hadn't opened. Not a single word, not a creak, not even the sound of shifting bedsheets from inside. Now, as the clock ticked past 2 a.m., he suddenly sat up. There were extra keys, weren't there? He muttered to himself, eyes darting toward his closet. He didn't waste another second, practically ripping his cupboard apart, yanking drawers open and tossing clothes aside. Socks flew, files fly to the floor, and just when he was about to curse out loud, he found them, small silver forgotten in the corner of an old envelope. His fingers trembled as he clutched them and rushed out of the room. The door to the guest room creaked as he entered quietly. Wine sat up in the bed instantly, sleep lining her lashes. Her eyes still puffy but alert now. What are you doing here? She asked sharply. How did you even get in? He simply raised the keys in response, expression unreadable. Theon, don't. But before she could protest, he crossed the room in 3 long strides and suddenly scooped her into his arms, bridal style. Theon, she gasped, hands pushing against his chest. What the hell? What are you doing? Let me down. The bed felt too big. He muttered under his breath. She snorted bitterly, voice raised with sarcasm. Miss me already. He paused, holding her tighter. Yes, she blinked. You sleep curled next to me like a cat. I can't sleep if you're not there. He murmured without looking at her, his voice low and honest. And with that, he carried her into their bedroom. She didn't fight him again. He gently laid her down on the bed and quietly walked over to switch off the lamp, plunging the room into soft moonlight. Wine instantly scooted to the far edge, her back facing him. A silent wall of resentment hung between them like fog. But Theon laid behind her and without asking, wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her flesh against his chest. His breath fan over her hair as he whispered, say whatever you want to me, hit me if you need to, but don't ever cry again. His voice cracked, fingers brushing along her side. I'm not worth your tears, Wine. But I'm trying to be. She froze for a moment. Then slowly she turned in his arms and buried her face in his neck. Her leg hooked over his hip lazily and her fingers clutched the fabric of his shirt. I'm still mad at you. She mumbled sleepily, breath warm against his collar. He smiled against her temple. I know. I mean it. She yawned, eyes already fluttering shut. I know, he whispered again, kissing her forehead. I'm sorry. And like that, they fell asleep, entangled, warm, safe, and loud. Next morning. The morning sun spilled golden across the room. Theon's grip hadn't loosened all night. Wine stayed, opening her eyes slowly. She blinked at the clock and gasped softly. Theon, she whispered, turning toward him. Theon, wake up, it's late. He hung, not even moving. Too early, sleep. She half shaking him again. You need to go to office, your meeting. He opened one eye halfway and grumbled, not going. Wine blinked. What? He tucked her back into his chest lazily. I'm spending the day with my wife. I have to make up for last night. She looked up at him with wide eyes. But your files and your project, wasn't there an important meeting today? He rolled onto his back and pointed at the nightstand. A tidy box of sorted lipsticks sat nearly beside a stack of clean, unsmudged documents. I fixed everything, he said proudly. The shades are ready for dispatch. I even relabeled your velvet peony that you said looked too orange. She gawked at him. You really did all that? He nodded just as his phone buzzed. He checked the caller ID and answered sleepily. Yeah. His assistant's voice came through. Sir, the meeting's cancelled. The client flew out of the country early morning. Thames nodded and ended the call. He turned to her, all smug and soft. See, the universe agrees you're more important. Vine sighed, falling back onto the bed. I swear your timing is suspiciously magical. He chuckled, shifting toward her and apologizing again. I'm really sorry. She looked up at him, teasing, smile blooming. Well, in that case, your punishment begins. Oh no. She sat up, crawling over to the nightstand and grabbing her lipstick box. 10 shades, you'll be my canvas today. No wipes, and then she paused for dramatic effect. You'll go shopping with me wearing them. He groaned, curling his face. You're evil. And you're grumpy, but seeing you laugh is so weird. I kind of like it. He peeked through his fingers. I'll laugh more if it means seeing you happy. She stilled. His tone had turned soft again, real heavy with affection. I mean it. He whispered, brushing her hair from her face. If I had to change everything about myself to make sure you never feel bad again, I will. Her smile melted onto something tender. She cupped his face gently. You don't have to change, she whispered. I overreacted. You are already mine, that's enough. His hand found her waist, pulling her in. Still, he murmured, brushing his lips to hers. I want to be softer with you. He kissed her slow and warm, like he wanted to memorize the curve of her mouth. Vine leaned in, responding, her fingers tugging gently at his shirt. When he pulled back, her lips were pink and slightly parted, breathing heavy. Don't start something you can't finish. She whispered playfully. He smirked, flipping them so she was beneath him. Oh, I plan to finish it. His lips trailed down her jaw, then her throat. I think I should mark you too. He murmured against her skin, her breath hasty, but he was already kissing her neck, softly at first, then sucking gently just beneath her ear, leaving a red purple bloom against her skin. She gasped softly, threading her fingers through his hair as his hands roamed over her body. Now we match, he kissed, looking down at her. She pulled him by the collar, whispering against his lips, I hate you, liar. He smiled, kissing her deeply. She melted into him. Tim's phone rang again. He pulled away, pressing his forehead against hers, breathing heavily, and said, I need to attend the call. You can sleep until then. It's a long day. Vine nodded while he went to attend the call. The smell of roasted sesame oil and sweet potatoes wafted through the hallway, warm and cozy like a Sunday morning hug. Vine padded through the house barefoot in her oversized white tee, definitely Thames, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She followed the scent, tucking her hair into a lazy bun as she turned the corner and froze. Thames was there in loose grey sweatpants and a sleeveless black tank that clung perfectly to his torso, hair still tousled from sleep, standing in front of the stove with a spatula in one hand and concentration on his brows furrowed. Oh my God, she whispered dramatically, leaning against the doorframe. His back was to her, but he heard her voice and glanced over his shoulder with a smirk. You're awake? She woke up. Morning, Grumpy. She murmured and pressed a soft kiss to his collarbone, right where the skin was bare and warm. A faint pink lipstick mark bloomed against his tanned skin. Thames breathed caught for a second, but he quickly masked it with a scoff. Really? He said, glancing down at the mark. Is this revenge for the last night? Vine grinned, slowly dragging her fingers across the stain, maybe. He turned toward her slightly, arm wrapping behind her waist. You're bored for someone who hasn't had breakfast yet. She laughed and leaned her head on his shoulder. You're cooking. Thames raised a brow. It's not the first time, Vine. Yeah, but the last time you made rice, it stuck to the pan like cement. Because someone distracted me wearing nothing but fuzzy socks and one of my dress shirts. He said pointedly. She smiled. You looked like you needed a reward. You were the distraction, not the reward. Are you calling me nonsense, Mr. King? She teased, poking his chest. Thames leaned in slightly, crowding her space. His voice dropped a little. I'm calling you dangerous. Vine's breath hitched just slightly, and Thames noticed. He grinned, smug and slow, and leaned closer, his lips brushing the shell of her ear. You leave me drunk, sleepless, covered in lipstick, and now you're trying to kiss me into morning or breakfast. She looked up at him, trying to keep a straight face. You're dramatic. I'm hungry. For food or attention? He kissed her forehead both. Vine grinned and turned toward the counter. Well, what are we having, Chef Kim? Sweet potato pancakes with sesame glaze, and I made your favorite honey lemon tea. Her heart just melted. You're really trying to butter me up. Well, didn't it? He said, plating the golden brown pancakes and walking over to place them at the table. Vine followed, sitting down and tucking one leg under her. Is this your apology part 2? Apology part 1 was carrying you to bed like a damsel and fixing your lipstick dispatch. I like that apology, she giggled. He sat beside her, resting his chin in his hand and watching her take the first bite. She groaned softly. God, this is so good. I take it back. You're allowed in my kitchen anytime. He smiled. You only want me in the kitchen if I'm shirtless. Is that an offer? She teased, leaning closer. Thames caught her chin gently with his thumb and forefinger, eyes gleaming. Do you want it to be? Her eyes fluttered, maybe. He leaned in, brushing his lips softly over hers, gentle, warm, like pancakes and spring mornings. When he pulled back, her eyes were still half closed and her voice was softer now. You're sweet when you're not pretending to be grumpy. He chuckled, brushing her bangs out of her face. You bring that side out of me. She touched his chest with her palm right over his heart. And you come the 𝐘𝐨𝐿. Thames looked at her for a long moment, then reached behind his neck and tugged the golden chain off gently. He took her hand and slid the chain around her wrist like a bracelet. Watch this, she whispered. A reminder, he said softly. That you are mine. Even when we fight, even when we sleep apart.